Welcome to Solid Signal. It's time for everybody's favorite game show. Is it a DECA? The game show where we ask questions about DIRECTV Coax networking. Coax networking is great because you don't have to have an Ethernet cable to every receiver. All you need is one box connected to your home router. Internet access comes through the coaxial cable. This makes for an easier, cleaner setup that customers love and installers enjoy. The only problem is, it seems like everything's called a DECA. We're going to take a look at a bunch of different DIRECTV equipment and ask that question, is it a DECA? Here's our first contestant. This is the DIRECTV Cinema Connection Kit. It's the little black box with the 3 green lights. It provides a connection between your receivers and Ethernet network. It must be wired to the router, and it's mandatory for on-demand and whole home viewing, except for HR34 DVR, and we'll get to that in a minute. But is it a DECA? It isn't! Even though DIRECTV used to call this a broadband DECA, they don't anymore. They prefer that you call it a Cinema Connection Kit. Our next contestant is the HD receiver or DVR. The newer ones with touchscreens don't need an adapter for coax networking. Most of them have an Ethernet port, but the touchscreen ones don't use it at all with coax networking. When they're networked, you can share programming between rooms, and the DVRs let you use Pandora and YouTube. But is it a DECA? It isn't! You might have heard someone say that the HD receivers and DVRs have an internal DECA, but that's not really true. In fact, they do have an internal coax network adapter, but we don't want to call it a DECA because that's confusing. Next contestant, the bandstop filter. The bandstop filter is used on older receivers or standard definition receivers that can't receive whole home viewing. It protects those receivers by keeping the internet signal out. It's placed between the satellite cable and the receiver or DVR. But is it a DECA? No, it isn't. The purpose of a bandstop filter is to stop coax networking information. It's not a DECA at all. And now our final contestant. It's a little white box with the green lights in front. It's used on HR20, 21, 22, 23, and H21 and 23 receivers. It sits behind the receiver and connects to both the satellite in and Ethernet ports. But is it a DECA? It is! And now it's time for our bonus round. We're going to talk about the HR34 Super DVR and what makes it so special. Unlike other DIRECTV DVRs, the HR34 Super DVR's got the same hardware as the Cinema Connection Kit. That means it can be used the same as a Cinema Connection Kit to provide connection to other receivers. However, it will also work with an existing Cinema Connection Kit if there's no Ethernet connection to the HR34. However, if you are going to use an Ethernet network and not a coaxial network, you must use a bandstop filter on the HR34. That's the end of our game show for today. Thanks for playing!